Okay, so this is supposed to be a lightning talk, but I see I'm the only lightning talk, so here comes a lot of lightning, I guess. These are the updates for what we've been doing with our Fedora repository since the last online Fedora Users Group. And some of this material actually is kind of a recap of what we did show back in 2020, because I do have some time to talk about all that and provide some context for the latest developments. So here's an outline of the little talk here today. First, I'm going to talk about how we actually do the ingest of content into our Fedora repository. Then I'll talk about how we lay the groundwork for user interfaces so people can explore and discover and enjoy that content. And then I'm going to look briefly at the actual exhibits and collections we have in our kind of growing ecosystem right now. So the way we ingest content is we have a tool in the house here called Magpie, the metadata assignment GUI providing ingest and export. And it can ingest, among other formats, SAF, which is, if you are familiar with the DSpace much, you know it's the simple archive format. And we just have a lot of legacy tooling in place because we're a longstanding DSpace shop to make nice, clean SAF archives. And so that was just a natural starting point for people who are putting together collections. It's an easy format to work with for curators as well as developers. And so in the context of Fedora, our Magpie tool will export the content to Fedora with a PCDM kind of structure. So once it's in Fedora, of course, we want to set up some user interfaces to get at it. We have, for this purpose, a IIIF manifest generator. So this is another in-house tool. And I know a lot of shops are kind of in the business of operating their own manifest generators. But so ours will read kind of our PCM structures and make collection manifests for containers and presentation manifests when you get down to like an object level. And so, of course, when you get a IIIF manifest, you're in great shape to leverage a lot of different viewers, a lot of different good viewing software out there. I think we're maybe most familiar with Mirador Universal Viewer. Okay, and then on the Solr side of things, this is kind of a different approach to discovery of content, but equally important maybe. So we're running Fedora 4 right now, and we're using an LD path transform to structure the metadata the way we want it in Fedora's Solr index. There's a link there to the metadata application profile that our librarians put together that kind of guided our mapping that the developers put together for them. And of course, when you have a Solr index, well, the door's open to lots of different robust discovery tools. You know, a lot of people run Blacklight, for example. Around here, we're employing another tool developed in-house that we have dubbed Sage for Solr aggregation engine. And there were a few reasons why we rolled our own for managing our Solr indexes. We were motivated, first of all, by the fact that we were running so many different Solr indexes for, you know, the integrated library system, all our different repositories, et cetera. And we were often hearing as well how our, you know, user experience librarians and others would like to enable discovery across heterogeneous collections. I mean, we have this index over here and this index over here, and never the twain shall meet. And it'd be awfully nice if we could have a search engine that would look in both places. So while we were at it, we also didn't want to be in the business of every time a request comes in to change the fields, change the mapping, a developer has to go and edit configuration files and restart a server, that kind of thing. So we wanted to be able to actually kind of control the indexing behavior in a user interface without having to resort to configuration on the file system. So the way Sage works is it will read in Solr documents and their fields from a designated Solr core or cores, and then read that all into its internal metadata schema, and then maybe operate upon the data a little bit, and write metadata from its internal schema to a target solar core. And on top of that, we have a way you can actually, once you have a core, configure a view of that core with the facets and searching. I'll get into that when I kind of show our content a little bit later. So here's what Sage does kind of abstractly. You got some source cores. They get read by readers that'll map the source schema, maybe operating on the fields along the way, to the internal metadata schema. That then is written with yet another mapping to wherever you're trying to target your output solar schema. Okay, so here's a higher level view of how it's all going to work together, right? So you start with an SAF archive that is fed into Magpie. Magpie will then do all the puts and all the posts to Fedora to get the content into Fedora in a PCDM structure. Our IIIF manifest generator on demand will do some gets to Fedora, some get requests, and get the RDF out of there and do the translation to write a manifest that it's going to cache in like a Redis store that it keeps. So then Sage, of course, will be able to read from Fedora's solar core and output to a target solar core. The Sage discovery views I was alluding to can also leverage the IIIF manifests for these for the documents that it reads in. And also we do have Spotlight exhibits that are based off these IIIF manifests. If y'all are familiar with Spotlight, you know that you can actually import content into Spotlight just with the IIIF manifest. So that's a cool feature there. Okay, so let's jump in and look at some of this content real fast here. So the Spotlight exhibits can be generated from IIIF collections. I'm going to navigate now to the production Spotlight instance. Is that coming through? Great. Okay, so I should mention that spotlight.library.tami.edu actually is going to redirect you to like a digital collection splash page. And not all this stuff is actually in Spotlight, but there are some that are in Spotlight, like this one, for example. The curators thought that we just kind of keep that all opaque to the users. It's just like, here's our digital collections and don't care where they are, but just so happens I know that some of them are in Spotlight. So yeah, cool stuff there to be sure. And let me see if I can get back to my presentation. We also have an Avalon instance that's using the same Fedora in our case. I guess we're hoping to be economical about that, and maybe hoping for some advantages later on if we wanted to be able to aggregate the content. Although with Sage at our disposal, that seems like maybe an unnecessary sort of sort of move. But anyway, an Avalon instance for our perusal here, with just a few collections that are busy growing right now. One interesting one among them is our undergraduate thesis office, like honors theses. A lot of those folks do video content that doesn't really fit into normal repositories easily, but it's a great fit for Avalon. So that's a service we're providing for the undergraduate honors thesis office. And then we come to our discovery views in this Sage tool. So as I keep alluding to, Sage has this feature where you can actually set up and configure what we're calling discovery views into a Solar index. And we'll take a look at that right over here. So we have a few of these so far, largely image collections so far. Collection of decorated papers that might make lovely, I don't know, desktop wallpaper, that kind of thing. Kind of an unusual, fun collection to peruse here. some Depression era photographs associated with the university. Looks like these chaps are having a good time. And I guess what's kind of cool about it is the configurability. So that discovery view we were looking at here, well, it's actually coming from a particular Solr core that we wrote to. We're applying a filter to that Solr core, so we only see some of the items because we don't want to necessarily see everything in the core just for this one discovery view. And here's where you can come and set up your facets, right? So yeah, this is not super curator friendly because it is after all using Solr keys, but anyway, better than having to edit configuration. We can control the internal metadata schema that Sage is able to write to. Then the readers actually kind of do a mapping from like a source Solr to the internal metadata schema. And the writers are just the complement of that after all. So, all right, that's all I have to show you all today. I guess I'd just like to take some questions now.